Yeah, hey guys. I just wanted to share my thoughts about what's going on with Colorado and Dion, Coach Prime, and the recent news that I just heard about the the getting together of coaches plotting to figure out ways to not only beat Dion, like Dion said in the press conference, coaches aren't coaching up schemes to beat his team. The coaches are taking it very personal and they're trying to attack Dion. If you know who Joel Klatt is, he's an ex-Colorado quarterback. He played years ago. He's now a college football analyst who talks college football. You guys will probably see him sometimes come on the Colin Cowherd show. He talked about how coaches are getting together on figuring out ways that they can not only beat Dion but embarrass him. What you saw happen with the Oregon coach was deliberate. He talked about Coach Prime getting clicks, doing things for clicks, and he talked about his team doing things that are more filled with substance. In other words, they're shallow, we're solid. They're for show, we're for real. They're in the world of Hollywood. We are in the world where we play hard and we find out who can win on the grass. He said those statements. Not verbatim, I'm paraphrasing, but he made those statements. But I find those statements a bit hypocritical because you knew those cameras were there. If you're blaming Dion and Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes for doing things for clicks, well, what you just did was for clicks as well. I'm talking about the coach from Oregon. You knew those cameras were in there. I don't know if you intentionally wanted the cameras in there, but I'm assuming that you did because you're the head coach of the football team. You have the right to say no. This is a private conversation between me and my players. I don't want any cameras in here. I want to inspire my team to come out and put a beat down on Colorado. So can you get these cameras out of here, please? He could have said that. But he allowed those cameras in there because he wanted the world to see the comments that he was making about his team, comparing it to Colorado's team. It was to send a clear message to the world that we are here. So in a way, it was a good marketing ploy by the coach from Oregon because he's pretty much using the publicity that Colorado is getting and he's flipping it to his advantage. He said, okay, I know everyone wants to see what Colorado is doing, but since we're destroying this team by halftime, I want the cameras to be in here because I know a lot of people are watching because many people are watching Colorado. Coach Prime has brought a lot of attention to the Colorado Buffaloes and to college football in general. More people who never watched college football are watching college football today. So the coach from Oregon, Coach Dan Lanning, I think that's his name, he's like, okay, fine, I'm going to use this to my advantage. And I don't blame him for that. But the only thing that I don't like what he said is to just assume that what Colorado is doing is for clicks. Well, everything that these coaches do are for clicks. Every major college football program, they all have a social media department that does that's pretty much responsible for advertisement and for getting information out to people. So recruits. So it's easier to get recruits to come to the program. You got to sell your program, and pretty much you win with the athletes that you can get to come to your program or athletes that fit your system. So in a sense, all college programs are doing things for clicks in a way, because when you win national championships, that's doing things for clicks because people click. They click in to see how prominent and how strong your football program is. So they're all coming in to see what's going on. Same thing with Alabama and Georgia. So when Georgia is playing on national television, that's also a market employ for clicks. Kids from high school want to go to programs that's going to allow them to be seen on a national level on television. They want to be seen. They don't want to go to a program where they're not televised on a daily basis. So going to the Alabamas and the Georgias and the Notre Dames, those are the schools that are going to get the top athletes because they're usually on television. So in a sense, every program is marketing themselves. So what Deion's doing is not a crime. He just has his own unique way of doing it. It's flamboyant. It comes across as arrogant because that's what people perceive it as. But we all understand that perception is not an actual reality. So with that being said, I just think there's jealousy that's involved. But don't call what Deion is doing for clicks when you're doing things for clicks as well. Even the speech you gave at halftime was for clicks. You know, we're not done. We're not done. So you sent the message, and nothing that Coach Dan Lannon did, I think that's his last name. Hopefully I'm not butchering his last name, but the coach for Oregon, hopefully what he did, I don't think that what he did was wrong in terms of the way he played and put it to Deion's team. If you want to send a message, you have the right. You're the coach. You have every right to send a message. But I thought if you respected a coach and you respected a team, you would kind of pull off the dogs a little bit. Going for it on fourth down when you're up by 35 points, fourth and goal, kick a field goal, man. It's in the first half. You're in your own territory. You're already up by 2 touchdowns, I believe. I think it was 14-0, if I'm 14-0, if I'm not mistaken. You are in your own territory. Going for a fake punt is risky because if you don't make it, you're giving Colorado the ball deep in your territory. They're already going to be close to being in the red zone. But just to let you know the level of disrespect that the coach from Oregon has for Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes, he says, no, to hell with it. I'm going to go for a fake punt. I am here to drive a message. I believe he wanted to hang 80 or 70 points on Colorado. But that's okay. Okay, so I say all this for a reason. I'm going to get to the true point of why I'm making this video. I want you guys to understand that the journey of Coach Prime, everything happens in layers and everything happens in time. What am I saying? Deion's rise to being a great athlete, yes, you can say it's genetics. We understand that. But there are many great athletes who are genetically gifted, but they lack the discipline to work hard, to practice their craft. Along the way, they make a lot of wrong decisions that robs them of what could have been. A lot of potential is stymied and killed earlier in their careers because maybe they get into drugs or they start doing things that are unhealthy and they start making wrong decisions. Maybe they end up getting in trouble with the law, going to prison, going to jail. We saw things like that happen with O.J. Simpson. We've seen things that happen like that with many athletes. So it's not only about being genetically gifted, though we know it's true that genetic gifts gives you an advantage, but there's also a mental component to it as well. What Deion's going through now at his age of 50-something years old is the same thing he went through when he was a young teenager. There's always going to be obstacles in life, and I want you guys to listen to this. Your life happens in layers, but it's in repeat. The same obstacles that you faced as a youth are still going to be not the same obstacles, but you are going to go through similar obstacles that are trying to stop you from getting to your destiny. Greatness requires obstacles. Greatness requires barriers, because if there were no barriers that existed, then the term greatness could never be used. Deion is only considered to be great because he played at the highest level in baseball and in football, and he accomplished great feats in both sports. As a New York Yankee, he played in the World Series. He could have won the MVP if they did not lose. He won a couple of Super Bowls in the NFL. He's a Hall of Famer. He has a yellow jacket. But those things would not be a reality if Coach Prime did not have obstacles. Now, your question is, what are the obstacles? Did he have to overcome drugs? No, it's not that. Those are not the obstacles that I'm talking about, but you can add that in there because we all know that the more money you have, the more fame you have, the accessibility of all the vices in the world are at your plate. but you have to have a degree of mental discipline to avert those kind of vices, those type of enticements that are drawing you in that can pull you away from your destiny. But the obstacles I'm talking about are the obstacles against his opposition on the field when he played. Players came at him, he overcame. Switching teams, he overcame. The comments about he's just a flashy player, people not liking his persona or the kind of vibe he brings, the bravado, people not liking that. Just like when Allen Iverson came into the NBA, a lot of people didn't like the fact that he had all these tattoos and he wore his hair in cornrows and had extra baggy basketball shorts. He didn't fit the mold of what a typical NBA player was supposed to be like, and nor did Deion. Deion never fit the mold. He's always been different. So he becomes a coach. That same uniqueness that he brought to the playing field in terms of the way he played, his charisma, his character, is the same thing that he's bringing to Colorado. If anyone respected Deion in Colorado enough, and if you don't know much about Deion, just do some research. You guys don't like reading anyway, just Google, look on the internet. You guys get your information from the internet anyway. The internet is the hub for the human mind to seek information. It has its gifts and its curse, because you can also have misinformation on the internet as well, but you can just look. You can look on the internet. And you can Google Deion and see his career. He's always been different. I'm not talking about looking up his stats. His stats he's in the Hall of Fame, so obviously the statistics are there to validate a Hall of Fame career. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about the press conferences. Any current event at that time that was happening during the play of Deion. He faced a lot of criticism then. He's not new to this. When he says in his press conferences that he's used to death threats, he's used to criticism, he's used to it. He does not want children or kids to face those type of obstacles in their lives. He's like, bring it on to me. I'm used to this. So what Deion is going through, and I'm sure that's why it's good in life to always reflect upon the experiences that you've had, so you can have a better, more motivating impulse or compulsion to move forward through whatever obstacles you're facing currently. Life is about obstacles. You're never going to live life scot-free. And I would argue that trying to seek comfort is a detriment. I'm not saying seek obstacles, but seek challenges. Find the challenges and overcome your challenges. To try to evade obstacles is a remedy to be subpar, to be average, to be lukewarm, to just go through life being very mediocre. And that's not Coach Prime. So what Coach Prime is going through with the coaches conspiring, getting together because they all hate what he's doing, he faced that as a player as well. There were players in the league that were just as athletic as he was, but he was getting a lot of notoriety. He was doing rap videos, he was making commercials, he had songs saying it must be the money. He was flashy, he knew how to talk, he knew how to control the camera. So the gifts that he had then are the gifts that he still has now at an older age. He can speak to the level of these young kids, and the threat that Deion is going to be pulling in all these athletes from high schools who are gravitating towards him. Coaches don't like that. It's fine, and I understand that. If I was a coach as well, I'm not saying that, but I would not hate the man. I would understand who I'm going against, and that'll just that'll push me to sharpen my recruiting skills, to know that I'm going against a juggernaut. That's what life is about. It's not about hating your obstacle or being jealous at your opposition. It's about getting in the gym, if you're an athlete, working harder. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that if you work harder that you're going to win all the time, but you're getting better. The idea is to improve. The idea is not to always win. The ultimate goal is to win. But the ultimate goal that's more ultimate than the ultimate goal, I would say super ultimate goal, if I can make that up, it would be to improve as a person every day, to be better every day. And I think that's the goal. If you are in competition with your opposition, and you know your opposition has an advantage overwhelmingly that's clearly seen across the board, like his recruiting tactics are better than yours. He has a marketing scheme that's better than yours. He speaks a language that you can't gravitate to. You're a cookie cutter white guy, if I can say that, and he speaks more to the youth. Most athletes in college are young black men, especially in those skill positions like receivers and running backs. And if Deion steps into your home, and if you're living in the ghetto, so to speak, who can speak the kid's language better? Who can tug at the heartstrings of the parents? It's going to be Deion Sanders, because he speaks their language. And there's something about him. He just has a personality that's magnetic. That's an advantage for him. If you don't have that, you are at a disadvantage. But is that a justifiable reason to hate the man? No. What that should do, if you were wise, would say, okay, bam, he has that as his advantage. I have to figure out a way to out-recruit him. The fact that you have to start thinking of ways to out-recruit another man, by default, makes you a better recruiter, because now it forces you to go back to the drawing table and figure out a way to out-recruit somebody else. See, better competition, you should be grateful for better competition. You should be grateful when your opponent or the person you're going against seems to have an advantage over you. You know why? Because it pulls greatness out of everybody else. It forces everybody else to be better, because you're going against somebody that you know is better than you. Jordan, when he played basketball, it forced other players to be better. That's why that era that Jordan played in was great, because there were a lot of great stars. You had the Patrick Ewings of the world. You had the Hakeem Olajuwons. You have the Charles Barkleys. I go on and on. It forced these other athletes to play better because they knew who they were facing. So better competition is not necessarily a bad thing. Now, you may think that, hey, Deion, he didn't pay his dues. How do you know what dues he's paid or has not paid? You don't know that. Yeah, we know that the traditional path to being a top college coach at those traditional schools, it takes time. You usually have to be a coordinator for years, but Deion is not a regular guy. He's an ex-athlete. He's a Hall of Famer. He already went to the HBCU and coached, so he does have coaching experience to a degree, and he's always coached. Now, it may not be on a level on college, but he's always coached the youth, and that's why he can speak their language, because he's always been around them. So with that being said, just understand in life that what he's going through now is what he went through before as a youth, when he played college football, when he was a young athlete in the NFL, when he played baseball. A young black man that's athletic, outspoken, very verbal, very flashy. He had the jewelry, he had the curls in his hair. I mean, he had it all. Do you think people were loving him then? He's always faced hate. It actually excites him. I think he likes this. When he said in the press conference, you heard him. He says, "Oh, I hear messages. You know, I hear these messages. But now is the time to beat me. Now is the time to beat me." The negative energy that he gets from people have to understand that negative energy is what pushes Deion. If people were smart, they would just congratulate him, give him his accolades, and just pat him on the back. "Oh man, you're doing such a good job." That will simmer his flame. Do you know where Deion comes from? He's seen it all. He thrives off of negative energy. As a matter of fact, he welcomes it. So I don't want anyone out there to pity what Deion's going through. Yes, they got blown out by Oregon. That's fine. But what's more influential or significant in the whole matter is not the fact that Colorado got blown out. Okay, it's not that Colorado got blown out. We understand that. That can motivate coaches to go back to the drawing board and reevaluate their schemes and figure out ways to get better in terms of an X and O standpoint. But what supersedes that is Deion finding out that, oh, all these coaches are getting together to try to beat me. What they're doing, what you guys are doing, you guys are pretty much inflating. Okay, you know when you inflate a balloon, you blow air into the balloon and it gets bigger and bigger. That's what you guys are doing to Deion. If you guys want Deion to be average, leave him alone. If you want to make him bigger than what he is, you guys conspire against him. He's going to be like Thanos. The more you guys plot against him, he's going to take all your powers and he's going to siphon it from you. That's only going to motivate. Think about that for a second. You're in the coaching profession. You just entered college football. Top 5 programs in terms of the conferences. Okay? You're in the Pac-12 right now. You just started. You're 3 games in. Or 4 games in, because you're 3-1. You just started. You haven't even finished the year. You already have a bunch of coaches conspiring against you. Do you know that motivates him? You know, he sits home, he's loving this. That gives him the energy to recruit more. That infuses him with energy. You cannot, Deion is a person that you cannot stymie. You can't affect him emotionally. He's not going to be, oh man, why me? You heard what he said in the press conference. Like, hey, he told his players that, look, we don't have napkins and tissue here to wipe tears. Man, get up. We have work to do. Oh, all these coaches are out there conspiring how to beat me? Oh, okay, come on. I got to get up. I have work to do. He has to lead by example. If he's telling his players they have work to do, Deion knows he has work to do. And I don't want you guys to ever misconstrue this thing that, oh, Coach Prime is a player's coach. No, he's more Nick Saban than he is the coach for Pittsburgh Steelers. Hamlin. What's his name? What's the coach for Pittsburgh's name? I forgot his name. But he's more Nick Saban. He's more of a disciplinarian. He always tells you guys he's old school. He wants you to practice hard. He doesn't give preferential treatment. Now he may do that for Travis Hunter, but that's understandable. The guy plays both sides of the ball, offense and defense, over 100-something snaps a game. You'd be like, he doesn't want to drive him to the ground and just ruin the guy's college career and just run him down where he's of no use. So of course he has to be smart, because he knows Travis Hunter gives 110% on both sides of the ball. So with that being said, all these things that are happening right now, I want you guys, I know people who love Coach Prime, don't take this as a negative thing. The glass is more than half full. Okay? These things are going to make Deion better. I like it. I would not want him to come to college football and be adorned by everybody and not face any opposition. Greatness requires opposition. It always has. It always has. Michael Jordan faced opposition. Personal opposition in life, basketball opposition is what makes them great. When you rewind back in anybody's great moments, it's always something that they had to overcome. Whether it was personal, life, traumatic situations, whether it's a deficit in a game where people counted you out and you come back, whether it's you getting blown out and you come back, or whether it's you facing criticism of how horrible of a person you are, but you overcome that. So to me, this is right. This is exactly what greatness requires. And I know that Prime in Colorado Buffaloes are going to be great. They are. Because if he was not facing this amount of vitriol and hate from other coaches, then I would be afraid that, okay, something's going on. But the fact that we are in a social media era where messages are out quickly, things spread faster than you can even think of them, Deion keeps receipts. He's petty in that way, but he keeps receipts because people who keep receipts, they use the receipts as motivation people. Think about that. When you go to a grocery store and you keep your receipt, you're only keeping your receipt because in case you have to return something. In case you need something, you can kind of compare what you bought before and comparing the prices to what you're buying now. There are many reasons why people who shop keep their receipts. But I want you to transfer that type of logic behind shopping, grocery shopping, or just shopping in general with receipts. Transfer that kind of philosophy to the walk of life. He's keeping receipts. He's keeping the messages that people are saying. He keeps them. And that, in a way, that's his crazy. That's his, when people say this guy's crazy, everyone has a little insanity in them. That's what he does. He collects data. He says it. Oh, I got messengers. He likes to hear that. That's why he's happy. It gets him going. You can see his body language when he was talking. Then so I don't even think he planned to make that statement when he says, oh, you want to beat me? Now is the time. And trust me, being the gentleman that he is, I know he's going to be torn. When he gets a chance to beat Oregon, I don't even think Deion's going to need to send a message to anybody because his kids will run through a wall for him. He may be trying to call off the dogs. I don't think that Deion operates in the same hatred that his opposition operates towards him. And I'm not saying this because he claims to be a Christian. Take the religion out of it. I just think without religion, he's just a good guy. If let's say in a couple of years from now, hypothetically speaking, let's just say Deion has everybody he needs on his team. His team is a powerhouse. They're blowing out teams. Deion will not do to Oregon what Coach Dan did to him. But the players will remember. They say, oh, that's that coach that rubbed it in. Coach Deion will be like, all right, guys, I'm putting the backups. The team's going to be like, nah, coach, keep us in. We got to send a message. No. His team will fight him. And Deion, loving his players, he'll say, okay, do what you have to do. He'll let them do it. I don't think he'll make the call. I think the players, see, part of being a leader, or part of being a good leader of men, or leader of young men, or leader of anybody, is to allow your people that you lead to have some sort of input into certain decisions. Now, we all play to win games. No one says that beating a team or blowing a team out is illegal, but there are some unwritten codes within the coaching fraternity that if you're pounding a team, you don't rub it in out of respect. Same thing in basketball. Same all sports. We have that. It's not written. It's unwritten. It's not official. It's not wrong to do it, but it's frowned upon because out of respect, you don't want to rub the victory in the faces of your opponent. And if you lose, you do not want to be a sore loser. You want to congratulate your opponent and give them the respect that they deserve and say, hey, they played well. They're the better team. You say the right things. You don't point fingers or blame anybody. So it's on both sides, all right? But I believe that being a good leader, even if you're a teacher in the classroom, if you have expectations and rules in your classroom and you do not allow your students to have input on the expectations and rules in the classroom, then they're not going to buy in. So if Coach Prime are beating Oregon, let's say in a couple of years from now, or maybe next year, let's say they're beating them let's say the score is 35-7 or something like that, and it's like in the fourth quarter, and the Coach Prime says, okay, I'm gonna just put in the backups, give you guys a break. If the players are like, nah, coach, I remember, no, this for you. Remember, Coach Prime is human. He wants to do the right thing, but he's also gonna listen to his players. If he pulls off the dogs against his players' wishes, he may lose his team. If your team, Coach Prime is a disciplinarian. For his players to say, no, we remember what they did to you, coach. No, we got to fight for you. He's going to let his team do it. Not because he's advocating or promoting it. It's his decision to make. But he'll say, okay, I'll keep y'all in. Be careful. Do it with a sense of respect. And I'll do the talking. After the game, just say we wanted to play hard. We're not sending any messages. We're just playing hard because we want to prove to ourselves that we're a good team. Don't do this thing about sending messages to people. Send a message to yourself before you can send a message to anybody else. The primary goal is to always send a message to yourself to let you know where you are in levels. Like, where am I in this? Okay? Where am I in this? What messages are you sending to yourself? Before anybody outside of you can interpret your message, you have to first send a message to yourself. So that's the message that I believe Prime would tell his team. It's not about them. It's about what we're doing. He always says that. I don't care about what they're doing. I care about what's happening here. I'm confident in my players. I'm confident in our locker room. I'm confident in our coaches. And if you perceive our confidence to be arrogant, to be something that we're trying to show out or we're being overconfident, and that's a testament to your insecurity. I'm not insecure. I'm secure in myself. Deion's personality, he's taken his personality and spreading it to his team. Okay, and that's what he's doing. So with that being said, I believe when that time comes, he's going to remember what they did. He's going to say, hey, I'm not going to do what Coach Dan did. How can I be critical of what he did and repeat what he did? That makes me a hypocrite. Just like Coach Dan. He criticized Coach Prime and Colorado Buffaloes for doing things for clicks, yet he allows a camera to his locker room to make that statement. So he knows that's going to go viral. And that's fine. You have to sell your program, but don't criticize another man for selling his program the way he's doing it. So everyone has their own way of doing it. You're basically Coach Dan for Oregon.